Did you know that every high fall that Leon Kennedy takes could lead to permanent spinal damage? Or that Chris Redfield's constant combat could cause severe cardiac trauma? Stick around because we're diving deep into the shocking real-world medical consequences that the Resident Evil characters would face after years of biohazard battles. Let's begin with Leon S. Kennedy. His repeated high-impact falls, seen constantly throughout the franchise, would likely result in severe spinal compression fractures. This leads to chronic back pain, nerve damage, and potential mobility issues. The repeated jarring impacts can cause intravertebral disc herniation, leading to sciatica and radiating pain down the legs. Over time, this could manifest itself as a pronounced limp. Next, we'll focus on Chris Redfield. Chris's combat style focused on brute strength would inflict significant musculoskeletal damage. Repeated shoulder dislocations and impacts would cause rotator cuff tears and chronic shoulder instability. The sheer force of recoil from heavy weaponry would exacerbate it. Furthermore, the constant adrenaline surges and stress would contribute to cardiac hypertrophy, or thickening of the heart muscle. This increases the risk of heart failure and arrhythmias. As for Jill Valentine, for prolonged exposure to P30, the mind control setup that was attached to her chest in Resident Evil 5 would likely, among other possible side effects, have profound neurological effects, since she was being controlled against her will and maintained her mental capabilities while her body performed the commanded action. The chronic stress and trauma would likely result in post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, characterized by flashbacks, nightmares, and hypervigilance. She displays many of these characteristics in Resident Evil Death Island.
When I was being mind-controlled by Wesker, all I wanted was to kill you. All of you. I was conscious, but I couldn't stop myself. It was like living in a nightmare.
However, hers being possibly the worst account, all of the characters would likely suffer from these effects to varying extents, as characterized by Chris Redfield and Leon Kennedy becoming heavy alcohol drinkers at different times in the franchise. As for Ada Wong, her acrobatic fighting style, while effective, would result in significant joint wear and tear. The repetitive twisting and high-impact landings would lead to ligament tears, cartilage damage, and chronic pain. The consistent stress and physical damage would likely accelerate the aging process, leading to premature arthritis and reduced flexibility. The psychological toll of living a life of constant deception and danger would also manifest as chronic anxiety and sleep disorders. As for everybody as a whole, they would suffer similar impact injuries. The repetitive trauma to their hands and wrists from weapon recoil and falls would likely lead to early onset osteoarthritis, severely compromising the fine motor control needed for everyday tasks. The consistent exposure to volatile chemicals could lead to chronic fatigue syndrome, nerve damage, and even cognitive decline. The persistent fight-or-flight response would also exacerbate anxiety and depression. The exposure to biological agents from time and damaged slabs can also cause long-term organ damage, particularly in the liver and kidney, among other unknown effects depending on what chemicals were in the labs. So what does all this mean? Beyond the thrilling gameplay, we see a stark reflection of the human body's limits. The characters within the Resident Evil universe, through their repeated exposure to extreme trauma, display a roadmap of potential long-term medical complications. From spinal compressions and cardiac hypertrophy to early onset arthritis and neurological decline. These are the very real and often devastating consequences of the types of injuries these characters would sustain. It is important to remember that I'm not a medical professional, and these are educated estimations based on current available medical information, my ability to look things up, time, and so forth, applied to the fictional scenarios presented in the Resident Evil game. These examples do, however, show us a potential glimpse into the long-term and often unseen costs of extreme survival.